¿Qué pasa, mi gente? Welcome to another video. I've literally tried to record this video like about 4 different times because the audio, but we're just gonna do in-house audio and see what happens. Hopefully this one can stick, okay? First of all, I want you to stop for a second, more so than anything else. You saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. If your content feels random, if your views go up and down up the wazoo and you have no control over it, if nobody essentially remembers you for what you do, you don't have a content problem, you have a brand identity problem. And in this video, I'm basically gonna show you how to build a simple, real brand identity, so that way you could use it as a creator to make money online, whether for you or for your business. By the way, my name is Pedro Millan. I literally own 2 SMMAs, if you didn't know. I literally make multiple 6 figures every single year. On top of that, I have 50 million views to my name as of starting them, 100 book appointments plus, and a Grammy. Literally, we won a Grammy with one of the campaigns that we run. I'm not trying to sell you anything, just want everybody to make more content about the stuff that they love so that they can make money online. But in this video, before we get into anything else, we're going to be talking about the difference between a brand identity versus brand image. And literally people get confused about this all the time. So a brand identity is essentially who you say you are, right? Your story, your personality, where you come from, your visuals, your offers, the role you want to play in other people's lives, and the role you play for yourself. In addition, a brand image is essentially what people actually think about you based on what you post. And your identity, or essentially your brand identity, is essentially what you build. And the image is the result. And if you don't define your brand identity for yourself, the internet will do it for you. So in this video, I'm literally going to be talking about 7 different steps in order to develop your own brand identity so you have more control over the stuff that you post and what people say about you. But before we get into that, if you like the video so far, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel because it actually really helps, because I literally talk about content creation, literally personal branding, how to develop your own personal brand, social media marketing, cinematography, up the wazoo, so you can start to make money online with the content that we make. But let's get back into the video. So the first step in order to make your brand identity is essentially understand what is your brand story, which is essentially why should anybody care that you exist, right? I don't want you to overcomplicate it. The only thing that you need to understand for your brand story is to answer 3 questions. Is where did you come from, which is essentially the context of how you present yourself, what problem punched you in the face, which is essentially the pain that you're trying to solve, and what path are you on right now. With those 3 things, being context, your pain, and the direction in which you're going, you can literally answer all the questions for the people who are watching your videos. So that way, you can actually give a quantifiable result within a quantifiable timeline for the people that you actually post videos for. For example, maybe you might be a broke 9-to-5 guy just learning how to make money online. Maybe you're a self-taught filmmaker that wants to build a career without going to film school. Maybe you're a fitness instructor that happened to be super overweight and they got super fit and they want everybody to be fit as well. This essentially becomes the emotional backbone of your brand that people recognize you for. Step 2, you have to understand who are you for. For me, I'm essentially creating all this content for the aspirational creator, the aspirational business owner that wants to get into content creation. Essentially, you have to define who your content is for, meaning the age range, the vibe, what they're stuck on, what they're worried about. In my case, like I mentioned before, this person looks like somebody that wants to get into content creation to make money online. They're probably within the age range of 18 to 35. They want to have some sort of time freedom and financial freedom from something that makes money online. They want to develop a brand, and they happen to be lost in all the information that's literally provided out there because there's so many people, right? So once you have all that into consideration, being like, who are you for? Here's some questions that you can ask yourself in order to figure that out. So, what is my audience trying to escape? What do they want their everyday to feel like? And what are they already searching on YouTube? And you can literally figure this out just by just a bit of research, maybe even a week's worth of research on vidIQ, whether it be on YouTube or SortFeed on Instagram and TikTok, or literally just searching up keywords on the platforms overall. Because my main thing, on long form at least, you have to have a niche of some sort. Because if you don't, if you talk to everybody, no one feels like you're actually talking to them, right? And sure, on short form, you have to be entertaining so then people will actually give you the permission to educate. However, there has to be some sort of dichotomy in the content that you make on a consistent basis, because otherwise, then you're just basically throwing dollars to the fire and you're wasting your time online than actually finding the right people who are genuinely interested in you. Now, step 3, you got to develop your brand personality. You have to think as if your brand was a person, right? If somebody literally came up to you and to describe yourself in like three different words, maybe 3 to 5 words, what would they say, right? What would they say? Like, would they say that you're honest? Would they say that you're direct? Would they say that you're pragmatic? Would they say that you're practical? Would they say that you're slightly irreverent? Would they say you're encouraging? Would they say that you're nice? Would they say that you're kind? This essentially drives the way that you talk on camera, the phrases you repeat, and whether if you're a tough love coach or a chill homie or a nerd strategist, right? A really easy way to figure out your brand personality as far as how to, I guess, demonstrate yourself to other people online without even them having to say anything is ask yourself the questions like, do I want to feel challenged? Do I want them to feel calm and guided? Do I want them to feel fired up and called out? It's up to you, right? Because at the end of the day, the way that you speak or the way that you present yourself online is going to be the way that they receive you. So then therefore, you might as well put your best foot forward and take into consideration your personality overall and how that reflects throughout your whole brand together. Now, the next thing, it literally ties into the next topic or the next step, is your tone of voice. Like, literally, how do you speak? Like, how do you actually sound on camera? Do you want to sound funny? Do you want to sound serious? Do you want to sound formal? Do you want to sound casual? Do you want to sound respectful? Do you want to sound irreverent? Do you want to sound enthusiastic? Or do you want to sound matter of fact? For me specifically, I want to sound very casual, very direct, respectful, but willing to call out BS, and serious about results. Because more so than anything else, I want people to understand and really know or really interpret or really capture the amount of conviction that I have in my tone of voice more so than anything else, because I genuinely believe in the stuff that I talk about on a consistent basis online. I don't want anybody to think like I don't necessarily know what I'm talking about. And that's not necessarily from the conviction, but it's also from my lived experience. It's like I literally changed my life in literally 8 months. I literally believe that content creation is literally one of the best distribution channels on the planet if you're literally trying to make money. And on a consistent basis, I feel like it changes lives more so than anything else, is that people just haven't realized the power because they're too afraid to pick up a flipping camera. And I want people to understand the urgency behind all that stuff. So that is the way that I'm going to be speaking on camera. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the way you're going to speak on camera, but it's just the way that I want to speak on camera. So I want to ask yourself is like, how am I going to speak online? For me, I genuinely want to speak with the conviction. I want to speak within a 6th grade language because most of the US only speak in that language. I don't want to have any jargon. I don't want to have essentially the longest words on the planet. I just want it to be simple and very matter of fact so that way people can understand that content can literally change their lives forever. And all you have to do is just figure out how you want to speak, and it takes just a little practice by doing it, okay? So I would suggest just literally get on camera and watch back the tapes, like watch literally back the tapes of you actually making content and be like, I like the way that I speak here. I don't like the way that I speak here in this specific moment, so let me change that the next time that I record. And that will come with practice. That's not necessarily something you can ask yourself and then all of a sudden it happens. It's more so it just gets better as you create content, okay? Now, step 5, what do you actually do? Like, what are your products and what is your service and what identity is behind that? Your brand isn't necessarily just vibes, to be quite honest with you. It has to do something, right? Because we're trying to make money online, right? It has to give a quantifiable result to the people who watch your videos, right? For me, I want creators to make money online with content. I want people to build a brand, not just go viral, because virality is just stupid, to be quite honest with you. I want beginners to go from confused to clear to consistent, because those are the traits behind creating a successful YouTube channel, a successful IG, a successful TikTok, right? And much more other for the same thing for other social medias. So you have to decide, what transformation are you locked into? Like, what transformation do you want to be known for? Essentially ask yourself the question is like, or ask yourself the question to make the statement, what is your I help statement? In the sense of like, if you never heard of this, it's essentially like, I help X people go to A to B using C. So this is how you essentially make money on brand, and not just necessarily on like random side hustles that literally come across your vicinity, or the people that like happen to tell you that you should be able to do these side hustles. Rather, you could just focus on making content based upon your products and your services that you sell on a consistent basis, right? If you're a business owner. Like, let's say, for example, I help people lose weight from going to superbly obese, like absolutely obese, to lean and respecting themselves using the keto diet, or using HIIT training. Like, you have to know this like the back of your hand, so that way you'd be able to present this to other people with the conviction that it requires, right? Now, step 6, your name and handles. Just make it easy to remember you, okay? Whether if it's your real name or a brand name that you create for yourself, make it easy to spell, make it easy to say, and more so than anything else, make it look clean and consistent throughout every single platform, right? I picked Erroneous Media because it's a long story. I'm not gonna go like literally this whole video explaining why I named it Erroneous Media, but at least keep it consistent, right? It's literally the word erroneous but spelled I-R instead of E-R-R-O-N-E-O-U-S, right? You wanna make sure that it's the same throughout every single platform, and if you're going to use your name, just your brand is essentially the promise that's attached to your name. Essentially, like, if you decide for it to be your name, you also have to take into consideration just people's information online. I'm not necessarily fond of as far as like putting your name and stuff online. However, if you want to develop a further relationship with the people that you genuinely make content for, that's okay. Just make sure that there are certain boundaries, especially with the people that comment on your stuff, and essentially once you start to gain notoriety, just to set that boundary so that we make sure that you're okay and so is your family, right? We don't want creepers out here, but you want to make sure that people understand where you're coming from, and your personal brand is out there respectfully, so that way you're not getting people just showing up at your house. You feel me? Now, step 7, the final step, the final frontier, is essentially your visual identity, right? So you want to essentially think about how you look like online and essentially know what you're doing when you're setting that up, right? I want you to understand that every brand has a color. Every brand has a visual concept to it, and more often than not, there is some sort of recognition when it comes to colors and brand fonts and everything else. But just to make it stupid simple for you, I want you to choose 1 or 2 brand colors that you use on your thumbnails, your text, your lower thirds, etc., 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 and 1 clean font for titles, 1 for body, and this, that, and the third that you're going to use everywhere. That is super readable, and it's not up the wazoo. Like, you can use script and stuff like that that is kind of like super handwritten and all that stuff, but you want to make sure that people can actually read it no problem when they see it from their phone, or when they see it on the big screen, or when they see it on a TV. So once you decide your font and your brand color, I want you to decide some visual rules, like your thumbnail style. Like, do you have a close-up face and then some bold text and then some simple background? Or is it more like extravagant and more contrasty looking like Mr. Beast? Or is it more so a animated figure of you and the concept of your video, right? And I want you to figure that out, as far as just look at some other YouTubers when they're making thumbnails and whatnot, or other Instagram creators, or other TikTok creators, or any social media platform. Once you figure that out, I want you to use the same style everywhere. Everywhere. Literally on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and everything. Same thing with B-roll. If you have B-roll set in a specific style, being like, oh, drone shots, or like close-ups, or overhead videos, or whatever it is, run and gun, it doesn't matter. You still have to use the same type of B-roll. And you could just experiment, of course, but like, make it the same style. If you're going for cinematic, stay to cinematic. If you're going for more talking head videos, then make it more talking head videos. If, like this one, for example, if you're trying to make it more so like a documentary style, then make it more that way. It will require a little bit more work, but just keep it consistent all throughout, right? The purpose behind this is that we want to make sure that every time when somebody sees anything that you create, especially when they see your video in their feed, they instantly know it's you, no matter what. And that not only comes from everything that we talked about in this video, but also how do you present yourself visually. It even comes down to the outfits that you put on. I wanted to be casual, so I'm gonna put some casual clothes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here to be putting on different types of outfits every single video. I just want to literally show up, film, and then literally post the dang thing. And if that's the same thing for you, then my guest, be my guest, literally do the same thing. However, if like let's say you're a cosplayer or something else, and you want to show up on camera as a cosplay, then you have to take that into consideration. But these are all the things, all the steps that I take into consideration when developing a brand for either a company or for myself. And I hope that was helpful. If you liked the video, if you liked all the steps that I provided to you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I literally talk about content creation, brand making, personal branding, social media marketing, and I've been doing it for a long time. And I just want the people that watch my videos to start making content so they can make money online for themselves or for their businesses. And that's literally all we do here. So if you could subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Otherwise, if you're somebody that wants to make videos for other people, for other businesses, you can basically click the first link in the description. It's literally a coaching program and a course that we basically made for people who want to develop social media marketing agencies with this intention in mind. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Peace.